Alright guys, welcome back. This is Justin with Engineer's Perspective. Today I'll be doing an overview and review of the Wusthof Classic Ikon. I don't know if you can see that there. So this is probably the epitome of what most people think about when they think of German knives. This is the Wusthof is a well-regarded high-end German cutlery brand, and this is their flagship model. So when people think of high-end German cutlery, this is probably what comes to mind. That and Zwilling and Messermeister probably. So about this knife, it is Wusthof through and through. It's German XR50 CR15 MOV steel, heat treated at 58 Rockwell hardness. That is on the upper end of what I would call soft. It steels well. Certainly, this is a great example of a knife where a honing steel like this is going to be part of your mise en place. Sorry if I butchered that. But, you know, you're going to do this between each tomato or before and or after, you know, a big vegetable prep job, or in between meat cuts. You're going to be using something like this to keep that just smoking edge on there. We'll talk about that a little bit in a second, or a little later. So some measurements on this. This is the 8-inch model. You can see on the mat there, it comes up 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, geez, I lost track. Oh, look at that. I've got numbers right on the bottom. Learn every day. So just short of 8 inches on there. So you've got an 8-inch blade. It's a I think it's a little more than a 3mm spine. It's quite thick. Let's get out the calipers here. 0 millimeters. Oh, it's actually 2.7. Yeah, it's about 3 at the heel. Yeah, 3 and some above the heel. So very thick stock. It does distal taper all the way down to the end, and then from spine to edge, of course. It's quite stiff. There is a little bit of flex in the tip, but this is a workhorse. It's a beast. You've got a classic Wusthof balance point behind the bolster, right on that pin there, right on this one. It's got this half bolster, which is becoming very popular in German cutlery. Lots of people don't like that full bolster because of the difficulties with sharpening. Some people say that full bolster makes it more comfortable, and some use that bolster at the back to be able to crush stuff. But I prefer the half bolster personally. Let's see other specs on it. Height, you're talking, what is that? I can never tell with this. 1, 2, just getting close to 2 inches there, not quite. I think it's about 43 millimeters, to be honest. You've got a very rounded profile. That's very classic Wusthof as well. When they make this knife, it is a rocking motion through and through is the intention of the use of this knife, and has a very soft heel. So some knives, when you're rocking, when you come down on the heel, stop. So listen to this. And let's see if you can hear the difference with this Takamura. Can you hear how hard it comes down on that heel? Because it's a lot more of a definite heel, whereas Wustofs are just meant to be just silky smooth as you come through there, and they are. But it is something you got to get used to. I normally like a pinch grip up here, but with these super back heavy knives, it feels like they're just trying to fall out of my hand. So I've actually adopted a bolster, an on bolster grip with this knife, and that has 2 advantages actually. Is a lot of times is you'll kind of get a callus up here from your finger digging into this edge of the knife. But when you're on that bolster, it's just so rounded and cushiony. Oh, it's luxurious. Gives you soft hands, I tell you, it's great. And plus, a big part of the Ikon is this redesigned handle. And know, the humpback handle or whatever, but I gotta tell you, it is divine. It's so comfortable, it's just wild. Now, I don't recommend you use your knife like this, but you still feel that when you're holding it like this. And you know, when I first got into knives, I didn't give a whole lot of credibility to the handle, because a lot of Japanese knives, the handle is like thrown in as an extra. You know, it's just not important. But really handle knives when you're thinking about buying them, because that, it matters. It will affect how often you pick it up in the kitchen. You'd be surprised. But so I get to take advantage of that comfy handle, and it's a lot more comfortable there. And because I'm not choked up on the blade, I actually get to use more of this heel. So it's almost like the blade's longer than it is. So I actually kind of like it. The grind on it is pretty bad. It's just not great. It's so thick. It came about 19 or so degrees per side at about 13 thousandths behind the edge. So it was really thick for a kitchen knife. I almost returned it or sold it because I just couldn't stand the cutting feel. I have since lowered the edge to about 16 or so degrees per side, and that is definitely too low, I would say, but it feels a lot better. It's pushing the limits of what this steel can hold at 58 Rockwell, because if you go too thin, as soon as you hit something that's substantial, it'll just roll that edge right over, and this is in that territory for sure. So that's something I'm still playing with, but it feels so much better at the 16 degrees per side. I might up it to 17 and a half or so and see how that works out for me. With these knives that are like this, my least favorite thing is working with the tip, because I feel like I have to exert a lot of force even to get through like an onion. But you can exert a lot of force with this knife with confidence, so that's part of the advantage as well. Yeah, it just kind of just works every time, and that's just what I would want to say about this, is with this knife and this FDIC steel, it just works every time. That's, you know, tomatoes, carrots, celery, onions, meat, it just works. You know, I love my Takamura. It feels so much better. But when I go to cut something and it doesn't cut like I want to, I'm basically duck out of luck. You know, unless I want to bust out a sharpening stone, or, like I said in a previous video, get out this guy and strop it, which is fine. It's just, you know, this is less forgiving of grime, or at least I feel like it is. And strops certainly are. Whereas, like, this thing can be covered in meat juice if you wanted it to, and it has been. And so can that guy, and you can steal it and then you just wash it when you're done. And you get to choose when you wash it when you're done. Because this knife is very stainless. It's just forgiving to every user. Don't put it in the dishwasher though. And that's just it. You know, does it have the best cutting feel? No. But it's comfortable. The profile, especially if you're a rocker, feels just fantastic. And, you know, there's no flat spots, but you can still chop like that. And when you do, you just come down and finish the rock. So it's kind of like a forward when you hit and you come through. So that's what it kind of ends up looking like. And it works. So would I say that Japanese knives are better than this one? Absolutely not. I'd say they're different, and they have their own uses, but to me, this is a 100% valid tool. And if you said, hey, this is my one knife, my favorite one, that's what I want to roll with, I'd say, dude, you did great. Highly recommended. It's very expensive. I'd say only buy this knife if you're looking for the Cadillac of German knives. Otherwise, just go with a Mercer, Genesis, or Renaissance. Won't hold an edge quite as good as the Wusthof will, but save you a lot of cheddar. But I'm a knife nerd, I'm a knife nut, so here it is. So that's all I got. Have a good one, guys. Bye.